Hello everyone and welcome to another tutorial. So today I'm going to show you how to make this scale Control-Z undo animation in Blender. That's a really big mouthful. I probably won't even call it that, but it's what it is and it looks really cool. And I'm going to be making this blend file available on my Patreon. You can check that out in the description below. If you guys really want to support the channel as well, just subscribing and liking my videos means the world to me, and it gives me the motivation I need to keep making these sort of videos for you guys. So without wasting any more of your time, let's get into it and make it happen. Okay, so the new scene opened up in Blender. We're going to go ahead and start with our default cube here. We're going to tab into edit mode. And with all of these vertices here selected, we're going to go G, Z, and we're going to hold in control. And we're going to move this guy up till it snaps to our floor here. So if you hit 1 to go into your front orthographic view, it should be sitting on this red axis here, just like that. Once we've done with that, we're just going to go still on our front view here. We're going to hover our mouse cursor just over this edge here. We're going to go Control R, and it's going to add in this yellow loop cut. We're just going to click it in. So we now have a loop cut here. Then we're going to go A to select all of this geometry, and we're going to go S, Y, 0.5 and hit enter. Okay, and once you've done that, we're going to tab out of edit mode, go to your front view, we're going to go S, Z, and hold in control, and we're just going to bring this down, and it's going to snap to the grid, and we're going to snap it to about here. Tab back into edit mode, and what we're going to do now is go to this option here, our face select. Select this face, holding in shift, select this face. We're then going to hit I, and that's the inset key, and we're going to inset this like this. So just about that much. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go E to extrude, and we're going to extrude this down to about here. Doesn't really matter, we're not going to see it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go Shift D to duplicate these guys, and we're going to go G, Z, and just bring them up to here. Just like that. Then we're going to go to our edge select here, select this edge in the middle, and we're going to hit the V key, so hit V on your keyboard, and that's going to cut that. And what we're going to do now is go to our face select, select this guy, holding in shift, select this guy, go to your front orthographic view by hitting 1 on your number pad, and we want to go G, Z, just bring this about here, and then we're going to go E to extrude it down like this, go into your wireframe if it helps, and then go X and delete those faces. Go back to solid. So now we have this here. It doesn't look too good. So what we're going to do is tab out of edit mode. Then we're going to go Control A. Just make sure to apply to scale. So Control A, apply to scale. We're going to go to our modifiers tab. We're going to add a bevel modifier to this guy. We're going to come here to our limit method and make an angle. Come to the offset, and we're just going to decrease that to a small number. You can make this whatever you want. I'm just going to go with something like 0.009. We're going to come to the segments and just bump it up to 3. We're going to go to our object and enable shade smooth. Okay, so here we have the beginning of our 2 buttons. We can tab into edit mode if we want. Just hit A to select all of this and go S, X and extrude. Just scale this in a bit to make these buttons a little bit more square. Doesn't really matter too much. It actually looks fine the way it is. So what we're going to do now is just tab back out of edit mode. Hit 7 to go to our top orthographic view. Hit Z to go into our wireframe mode, and we're going to go Shift A. We're going to go down here, and this time we're going to add in a text. So add in text. With this text, we're going to go G to select it, bring it over here on top of the left button. Tab into edit mode, and we're going to go backspace. And we're going to type in CTRL. And if you're a Mac user, you can put the command key symbol in here, but I'm just going to go with Control. Tab out of edit mode, and then go S to scale this down. And then G, and just move it over here. And then we're going to go G, Z, and just move that up. So it's just sitting on a surface there. With that text still selected, we're going to go to our text options here. We're going to go to our geometry here, and we're going to go to the extrude tab and just extrude that out a bit. Give it some thickness. And then we're going to go G, Z, and just move it till it's just barely sticking out there. Okay, so it's going to be looking like it's paint sticker, a very thin sticker on here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to just go simply Shift D, X, and just move this guy over. Tab into edit mode, go backspace, and we're just going to make a big capital Z. And tab out of edit mode, go G, Z, and just move this guy over here. So Control Z is the backspace key in Blender, or in a lot of softwares. So you can undo things. It's like the undo. Yeah, just is how you undo things. So there we have it. Very simple, just like that. And then we're just going to make a S key here. So we're going to select these guys here. And actually, first of all, just tab into edit mode quickly. Just go to face select. Just select these two faces here. Go Control L. That's just going to select all of this geometry. And then we're going to hit P, and we need to go separate by loose parts. So if we now go back into object mode, we're going to see this is its own part and this is its own part. We're just going to make sure we select both of them. And then we're going to hit F3, and we're just going to type in set origins. Click on set origins and then go to origin to geometry. And now the little orange origin points are in the middle of both of these, which is exactly what we want. So we're going to select this Z over here, holding in shift. We're going to select this button here. We're going to go Control P, and we're going to go set parent to object, and we're going to keep the transform. We're going to grab the control here, and then holding in shift, select this key, go Control P, and set parent to object and keep the transform. So now this Z is parented to this key, and this control is parented to the control key. And now we simply have to grab this Z over here. And so the key, holding in shift, select the Z over here, and then holding in shift, select this guy. So all three of these are selected now. And we're going to go Shift D, Y, and just move it this way. Then what we're going to do is tab into edit mode. And we're going to come here to our vertice select. We're going to select this vertice here. We're going to go these vertices. We're going to go G, and we're going to go X, and just move them into here. And then select these ones here and go G, X, G, X, and just move them into. Okay, so I'm in edit mode on both of these. So what I'll just have to make sure is just tab out of edit mode. Just make sure you only have this guy here selected, then tab into edit mode. Make sure you select these vertices here and just go G, X, and just move them in to here. Okay, just so we have a new key here, just by itself, tab out of edit mode. And now we're going to select this Z over here. We're going to just tab into edit mode, go backspace, and then go capital S, and then tab out of edit mode. And this guy should be parented to this key. That should be fine. So just test it, move them around. So now let's just grab these guys here that we just made, go G, X, holding control, and just move them over and snap them over here. Okay, just like that. And now we're going to go Shift A, we're going to go to our measure options, add in a plane. We're going to go S, and we're going to go 6, and we're going to hit enter, so we scale it up 6 times. Then what we're going to do is we're going to come over here, tab into edit mode, go to our edge select over here. And we're going to just hover over here with our mouse cursor. We're going to go Control R, and we're going to roll. Once we get a loop here, we're going to roll it in, and we're going to roll in some loop cuts. So we're just going to roll in about this many. Just click them in. I'll go into wireframe just to make it easier. Then go Control B and make another bevel like this. And then we're going to go E and just extrude those down. And then tab out of edit mode. Go Control A and apply the scale. And then we're going to go to our modifiers of this guy. And we're going to add a bevel. And we're going to make the limit method angle. We're going to come up here to the offset and just decrease it, make it much smaller. And increase the segment count as well. Okay, so Control A, just apply the scale, make sure it's applied. So now we can mess around with our camera a bit. So we're going to select this camera. We're going to go here to our camera options. We're going to make the type a orthographic. Then we're going to come over here to our camera settings, and we're going to make the resolution on the Y 1920. We're going to hit enter. And now if we go back to our camera settings here, we can mess around with this orthographic scale to zoom in and out. So I'm going to go into about here. For now, we can always mess around with it a little bit later. And also with this floor here, we just want to select it, go to object and enable shade smooth. And for some reason, with the bevel modifier here, it's not making a bevel on these edges here, and I'm not quite sure why. So let me just mess around with it a bit. What we're going to do now is we're going to go Shift A, go to our mesh options, we're going to add in a cube. We're going to go into our front orthographic view of this cube selected, tab into edit mode. Then we're going to go G, Z, and just move all of these faces up here and snap them to our floor, like that. And then tab out of edit mode. And we're also going to give this guy just a bevel modifier, make the limit method angle, and then come here to the offset and just decrease it and bump up the segment. Go to your object and enable shade smooth. So we're going to take this guy and go S.5 and we're going to hit enter. Then we're going to go Control A and we're going to apply the scale. Then we're going to go G and Y and just move this guy over here. And then R, Z, and just rotate it to offset it a little bit just to make it look, it just looks a little bit better having it offset a little bit. So I'm just going to go with that. And then we're going to grab our camera here. We're just going to hit G, and you can move your camera around and just get a camera position that you like. just going to go with something like this for now. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, because we have all of our little buttons here, the next thing is going to be to come in here and animate this. It's real simple. We're also going to add a shape key to this and animate it. And then after that, we'll do our lighting and materials, which is super simple as well. Okay, so what we're going to do first of all is come here and select this S key here. And we're going to come to our timeline here, just drag it up a little bit, give ourselves a little bit more space. I'm going to make the end frame value here 160. So that's going to give us 160 frames of animation over here. And we're going to take this little slider and drag it up to frame 20. And on frame 20, with this S key selected, we're going to hit I to insert a keyframe. It's going to bring up these options, and we're going to click on location. So we can see here we have a little orange marker that's now put in here. We're going to drag the slider up to frame 25. Then we're going to go G, Z, and bring that key down. We're going to go I, and we're going to insert another location keyframe. Then we're going to come over here, select this keyframe on frame 20. We're going to go Shift D and just drag it over to frame 30. And that's going to give us, if we come to frame 0, we just hit the space bar to play it. We're going to see there we get this click, which is what we want. Now let's quickly do that with these keys. So we're going to grab the control and very simply come to frame 100. And on frame 100, we're going to go I, and we're going to insert a location keyframe. We're going to come over to frame 105. We're going to go G, Z, and bring this guy down. We're going to go I and insert a location keyframe. We're going to come to frame 110 and just select this keyframe on frame 100. So you can see it's active. Go Shift D and drag that guy over to frame 110. So that's going to make it go back to where it started. So we're going to see a click here as well. Then select this guy here. And with this guy, we're going to come over here to frame 105. And we're going to go I and insert a location key. Then we're going to come to frame 110. We're going to go G, Z, and bring this guy down here. We're going to go I and insert a location key. Then we're going to select the first keyframe here. It's going to be active. Go Shift D and drag it over to frame 115 over here. So let's just have a look at that. If we play it, so they have a little bit of an offset. It just looks really good. So let's go back to frame 0. Just hit spacebar and let's just see what that looks like. Okay, that's looking really good. So what we're going to do now is we're going to select this cube over here. We're going to go to our object data properties here. We're going to come down to our shape keys panel. We're going to hit the little plus twice. And with key 1 selected, what we're going to do is we're going to tab into edit mode. We're going to go to our right orthographic view by hitting 3 on our number pad. And what we're going to do is we're going to hit S. And we're going to scale this guy down to about here. We're going to go G, Z, and just bring this down and put it on our little origin point there. We're going to tab out of edit mode. And now we have a slider here we can work with. So what we're going to do is we're going to just go into our camera view. And we want to come over here to frame 30. Okay, so what we're going to do is come over here to the value slider. And on frame 30 with a value of 0, we want to hit I to insert a keyframe, just hovering over it. You can also hit the little button here on the side. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come over to frame, so to about frame 100. And in frame 100, we're going to come to this value slider here, drag it up to 1, and we're going to, hovering over it, hit I, and that's going to insert a keyframe. So what's going to happen here, between frame 30 and frame 100, this value slider is going to shift from 0 to a value of 1, giving us that shrinking effect. So let's just go to frame 1 and just hit the spacebar, and let's see what happens. And now what we want to do, so we want to come to just right after these two buttons here, the Control and the Z have been pushed in, and come to a stop. So this has come roughly to frame 120. And in frame 120, what we're going to do is we're just going to come over here to this value slider, and it might seem a bit redundant, but we're just going to hit I again, hovering over this value here. And then what we're going to do is come up to frame 130. And in frame 130, we're going to drag it back down to 0. And hovering over here, we're going to hit I to insert another keyframe. So what we're going to have here is it's going to shrink down to here. It's going to have a little bit of a hold from frame 100 to frame 120. And then it's going to very quickly pop back to where it was. And if you want us to look really good, you can make this effect here faster. So you can select this last keyframe here, bring it in a little bit closer to frame 120, and it's going to just pop back up real fast, like that. So let's just have a look at that from the very beginning. And this should be a loopable animation. So let's play that and have a look. So it scales down, and then Control Z, we just undo that action there. In fact, I might just bring this key in even a little bit closer. And this is totally up to you guys. You guys can experiment as much as you want, get some results that you like. Okay, so with this guy, what we might even be able to do is just grab, I feel like it happens a little bit too slow. So what we can do is come right after that Z key stops. So grab these 2 keyframes here and just go G and just move them in a little bit closer to 117. So let's have a look at that. So they go in and it pops up, maybe even a little bit more. Let's have a look at that. Okay, that's a lot better. So experiment, mess around with it as much as you want, but I'm definitely going to be leaving it at this. I think it's quite nice, and we can definitely get into our lighting and materials now and make this look really awesome. So what we're going to do now is go over here to our render settings. We're going to make sure the render engine is set to EV. We're going to come down here and enable ambient occlusion. Then we're going to come to our screen space reflections. We're also going to just enable that. And now we're going to go Shift A. We're going to go down to our light options here. We're going to add in an area light. We're going to go G, Z, and just move this guy up in our scene here. Go to our light settings. We're going to increase the size a little bit to about 3 meters. Then we're going to come to our power here. We're going to make the power value 600 and hit enter. And then what we're going to do is go to our right orthographic view by hitting 3 on our number pad. Then go Shift D to duplicate it, bring it over here, and then R just to rotate it in towards our scene. So let's hit 0 to go into camera view, then Z, and let's go to our render tab. Okay, we're also going to select this lamp over here, the original one. Just go X and delete that. We don't need it in our scene. And yeah, so maybe just increase the scale on these a little bit. Okay, but I'm going to leave it at that for now. So let's quickly add some very quick materials on here. So let's go to our shading workspace here. Just go into your camera view again, hit Z, make sure you're in rendered here. And let's start with this cube here. So we're just going to hit new. Let's call it cube. By the way, you could use any object you want for this, but I'm just using a cube. And then we're going to make it a nice kind of orange and bring that roughness down a bit. Then we're going to select this floor over here. We're going to go new. And we're just going to make it a black kind of plastic material. Bring this roughness down a little bit. Maybe make this value here a little bit darker. And then what we're going to do is quickly tab into edit mode, go to our face select. And I think the way we can solve that issue we have is just to come over here and we can hit C, and that's going to give us this select tool. And we're just going to select all of these faces here on the end. And just make sure we deselect all of these ones over here. Just select them, then go X and just delete those faces. And do the same thing on this side over here. X and delete. So just we've deleted all of these faces here. So now we should have that bevel modifier doing what we want it to do. So let's just go back into our rendered view here, and that's looking a lot better. And what we're going to do is just select these keys here and just give it that same black plastic kind of material. So just give it to all of these objects here. Just make sure they have that same material. In fact, we can even call it plastic. And with these keys here, we can just leave them as they are by default. That wouldn't be a problem. So here we have a really nice looking scene, and you can mess around with the lighting as much as you want, and you can mess around with these sliders. You can decrease the roughness a little bit, make it more roughness. It's just a matter of experimenting a little bit. And what I did with mine as well, I think I spent a bit more time with the lighting on my original one, but it's just one of those things where you got to come in and make it look the way you want it to look. So here we have our nice animations. We're going to go back to our layout here. And I'm going to show you how we can quickly render this animation out real simple. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over here to our output settings. We're going to click on this tab. We're going to come down here to our output, and we're going to click on this little folder. We're going to go to our desktop or whatever. Then we're going to go to our file format. We're going to make it an FFmpeg. We're going to go to our encoding here. We're going to make the container an MP4peg as well. And that should be it. So now if we go over here to render and we go render animation, it'll render this little animation out for us. I hope you guys have liked this PIXXO 3D tutorial, and if you did, please subscribe and hit the like button. It really helps the channel a lot. And if you guys want to support me even more, you can go to Patreon, where I make exclusive content and I will be sharing this file as well. I'll see you guys next time.